Look around you. Everyone's talking, posting, flexing for validation they don't even need. But the loudest in the room is usually the weakest. You want to win? You want real power? Then shut your mouth, vanish, and let the silence mold you into something they'll never see coming. Most people don't understand this brutal truth. Giving 50%, 70%, even 90% doesn't count. In the world of winners, anything less than all in is a waste of time. It's a fantasy. You don't become successful by trying hard. You become successful by being obsessed, fully locked in, fully committed. When you go into something with hesitation, you already lost. Why? Because there's someone out there who's putting in everything they've got, who eats, sleeps, and breathes their mission, while you're still deciding whether or not it's worth your energy today. That's the reality. Half-hearted action is the breeding ground for mediocrity. It gives you just enough progress to feel like you're doing something, but never enough to break through. It lulls you into comfort, into thinking you've got time, that you're making moves, when in truth, you're running in place. You're convincing yourself you're on the grind when you're just spinning your wheels. The winners of this world, they don't do maybe, they don't dabble, they go all in. Their success isn't accidental, it's calculated, consistent, and ruthless. They decide what they want and cut off everything else. Distractions? Gone. Excuses? Dead. Comfort? Replaced with obsession. They don't care how they feel. They don't care who supports them. They don't care how long it takes. They're willing to look crazy, willing to be alone, willing to sacrifice everything because they understand one truth. If you're not giving everything, you'll get nothing that matters. If your energy is split between 10 different priorities, you're never going to master one. And if you don't master something, you stay average. Period. Every minute you hesitate, someone else is working, someone else is building, someone else is making sacrifices you're too scared to make, and guess what? That person is going to win. They're going to beat you. Not because they're better, but because they committed, they locked in. While you were taking mental health days or scrolling for motivation, they were doing the work. While you needed a push, they were pushing themselves. And in the end, results don't care about intentions. Results don't care how badly you wanted it, how inspired you felt, or how tired you were. The world only rewards what you finish, not what you start. Going all in means making success your identity. It's not something you do when you feel like it. It's who you are every single day. There's no debate. There's no room for laziness, no space for negotiation. You wake up with purpose, you act with urgency, and you treat every day like it's a test of whether or not you deserve what you say you want. And if you're not doing that, you're wasting time. You're lying to yourself, telling yourself you're working when you're just surviving, pretending to chase a dream when you're actually running from the pain of fully committing. That's the truth no one wants to say out loud. It's not the most talented who win. It's not the smartest or the most privileged. It's the ones who say, I'm in, and then burn the boats. No backup plan, no plan B, no way out, just forward, just war, just obsession. You want the life that most people never have? Then you have to do what most people never will. And that starts by killing the part of you that thinks giving 70% will get you anywhere worth going. You either go all in or you get left behind. Comfort is a seductive poison. It creeps in quietly, disguised as rest, disguised as peace, disguised as taking care of yourself. But what it really does is numb you. It steals your urgency. It steals your hunger. When you're comfortable, you stop pushing. You stop evolving. You convince yourself that you've done enough. You tell yourself you've earned the right to slow down, to relax, to enjoy things. And that's exactly when the downfall begins. No one great ever came from comfort. Every single person who ever dominated, who ever became powerful, rich, respected, every one of them had to go through pain, through struggle, through discomfort. They had to bleed, they had to suffer, not once, constantly. Because discomfort is the price of transformation. It's the furnace that forges strength, focus, and discipline. You want to become someone worth remembering, then you have to suffer more than the average man can handle. The world is full of average people clinging to comfort. Look around you. People scrolling, snacking, sleeping in, avoiding pressure like it's the plague. They don't want hard. They don't want pain. They want easy money, easy fame, easy validation. They've built a mental prison where discomfort equals failure. But the truth is, discomfort is where growth begins. If you're not waking up every day with a slight burn in your chest, with your brain screaming that what you're doing is hard, then you're not doing enough. Comfort convinces you that tomorrow is fine, that goals can wait, that you'll get to it eventually. But that's the biggest lie you'll ever believe. Comfort doesn't just slow you down, it rots your potential. It tells you to play safe, to settle, to fear risk. And every time you listen, you give up a piece of your future. The trap is thinking you're the exception, that somehow you can stay comfortable and still rise, that you can chill and still win. But deep down, you know that's not true. You know that everything you want lives on the other side of pain. You want a better body, you have to destroy your muscles. You want money, you have to risk failure. You want power, you have to face rejection, opposition, hate. There's no version of success that doesn't demand sacrifice. And the price is your comfort. The problem is people are more addicted to feeling good than they are to winning. They'd rather stay broke than be tired, rather stay weak than be sore, rather stay liked than be great. And that's why they never go anywhere. Discomfort forces you to adapt. It shoves you out of stagnation. It exposes all your weaknesses and dares you to rise. When you feel pain, you focus. When you feel stress, you sharpen. When you feel pressure, you evolve. The key is to stop running from it and start embracing it. Get addicted to the grind. Crave the chaos, because every moment you step into discomfort, you level up. You train your mind to survive, your body to endure, your soul to fight. The very thing most people avoid is the exact path to everything they pretend to want. Comfort keeps you safe, but it also keeps you small. You want to dominate? You want to be remembered? You want your name to echo? Then you better get used to being uncomfortable every single day. Because the moment comfort becomes your standard, your dreams become optional. And people with optional dreams don't win. They watch, they wish, they fade. That's the reality. Discipline is not about motivation. It's about doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. That's the difference between a man who wins and a man who wishes. The world is full of people who are talented, who have potential, who could have been something, but they all lacked the discipline to show up daily. They had dreams, but no structure. They had goals, but no self-control. Discipline is the straight line between where you are and where you want to be. But most people are too weak to stay on that path. They give in to distractions. They let their feelings control their actions. They seek comfort in laziness, validation in social media, and peace in procrastination. Meanwhile, the disciplined man is out there working in silence, stacking wins, sharpening his edge, and building something real while everyone else is sleeping on themselves. If you're not disciplined, nothing else matters. You can be smart, you can be talented, you can be inspired, but it's all wasted if you can't control yourself. Discipline is a skill, not a gift. You build it by saying no when it's inconvenient. You build it by choosing work over pleasure. You build it when you keep going after the excitement fades. This is where most people tap out. They think success is supposed to feel good. It's not. It's supposed to test you. It's supposed to break you. It's supposed to strip away all the excuses until only action remains. When you wake up and don't want to train, but you do it anyway, that's when the shift happens. Not because you were motivated, but because you have made your actions non-negotiable. That's discipline. And without it, you're a slave to your mood. You're a puppet pulled by emotions, blown around by every little wind of resistance. One hard day and you fold. One setback and you retreat. One distraction and you're off course for weeks. Discipline is what keeps you dangerous. It's what makes people take you seriously. Not because you talk loud or show off, but because you do what others won't. Every time you stick to your schedule, every time you control your appetite, every time you finish what you started, you separate yourself. You become rare. You become the kind of person that others can't keep up with. And eventually they stop trying to compete and start watching. They start asking how you did it. And the answer is simple. You did it every day. You didn't skip. You didn't negotiate. You didn't wait until you felt ready. You just showed up again and again, because that's what winners do. Not when it's easy, not when it's fun, but when it's hard, when no one's watching, when quitting would feel better. They still show up. That's power. The modern world doesn't reward discipline because it doesn't want you to be disciplined. It wants you soft, distracted, impulsive, easy to control, easy to sell to, easy to break. But when you build discipline, you become the exception. You become immune to weakness. You don't chase dopamine. You don't beg for validation. You operate on a different level because your life is led by standards, not emotions. You earn everything you have. You don't expect, you don't complain, you don't wish. You execute, and that energy commands respect. That mindset builds empires. That approach to life doesn't just attract success, it demands it. People look at the disciplined man and feel something they can't explain. It's fear, it's admiration, it's envy. Because deep down, they know he's not like them. He's on a mission, and no one's getting in his way. Everyone wants success. They want the cars, the money, the lifestyle, the respect. But almost nobody is willing to sacrifice for it. Everyone talks about goals, but when it's time to cut off the distractions, silence the noise, and put their heads down, they fold. Why? Because sacrifice is uncomfortable. It's lonely. It forces you to confront who you really are, and most people aren't ready for that truth. They want the results of a disciplined life while living in comfort. It doesn't work like that. You can't party every weekend and expect to build an empire. You can't chase temporary pleasures and expect long-term gains. You can't keep everyone around and expect growth. Growth requires isolation. It requires you to say no when everyone else is saying yes. It requires you to walk away from comfort and embrace the grind. That's where the real transformation happens. When you start sacrificing for success, everything changes. Your environment changes. Your habits change. Your mindset sharpens. You no longer have time for meaningless conversations, pointless scrolling, or people who drain your energy. You start cutting off the dead weight. You become intentional about every minute, every interaction, every decision. That focus turns you into a weapon. But here's the catch. No one's going to applaud you for it at first. In fact, they'll criticize you. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you've become distant, cold, obsessed. And guess what? They're right. You have changed. You've started valuing your future more than their opinions. You've started making decisions like a man with a vision, not a boy who needs approval. That level of sacrifice feels unnatural in a world addicted to comfort. But that's exactly why it works. Sacrifice means getting up early when you'd rather sleep. It means skipping the party when everyone else is celebrating. It means eating clean when your friends are stuffing junk food down their throats. It means missing out on temporary highs to build a permanent legacy. These aren't losses. These are strategic moves. You're trading short-term fun for long-term freedom. You're trading now for next level. You're betting on yourself, and that's a bet most people are too scared to make. They cling to their routines, their people, their little comforts like lifeboats, unaware that they're just floating further from greatness. You, on the other hand, burn the boats. You go all in. You cut the safety nets. You choose discomfort now so you never have to suffer later. That's what real winners do. They delay the dopamine. They sacrifice early to dominate later. The truth is, no one becomes great without sacrifice. Show me a man who's built something powerful, and I'll show you a man who walked away from ease. He walked away from distractions. He said no to things that felt good and yes to things that built him. That's the formula. But it's not sexy. It's not glamorous. That's why most people ignore it. They want the secret hack, the shortcut, the magic trick. But it doesn't exist. The only way up is through sacrifice, through discipline, through removing what's in the way, no matter how attached you are to it. You'll lose friends. You'll be misunderstood. You'll spend nights alone while others are laughing together, but what they don't see is you're not lonely. You're building. You're not missing out. You're elevating. And when it all comes together, they won't understand how you did it. They'll say you got lucky. But you'll know it wasn't luck, it was sacrifice. Relentless, ruthless, non-negotiable sacrifice. That's how you build a life that others only dream about. Most people underestimate the power of time because they've been brainwashed to waste it. Every minute of your life is either an investment or a loss, and the people at the bottom are the ones who treat time like it's infinite. They scroll for hours, binge distractions, talk about nonsense, and then complain about why they're broke, lost, and stuck. That mindset is a disease. Winners look at time like currency. They know that every second matters. Every hour spent slacking is an hour someone else is building. Every day wasted is momentum lost. So while the majority spend their lives reacting, waiting, and hoping, the elite few are using every available second to sharpen, build, learn, and elevate. If you want to succeed, you need to treat your time like it's more valuable than money. Because it is. You can always make more money, but you can never get your time back. Discipline with time means you don't live like the masses. You don't give your time to people who don't deserve it. You don't answer every call. You don't attend every event. You don't explain yourself to people who aren't on your level. Your time becomes sacred. It becomes something you protect like a lion guarding its territory. Because once you realize that focus is the gateway to power, you'll stop letting distractions chip away at your day. You'll stop being available to everyone. You'll stop saying yes to things that bring zero return. Most people fail because they're trying to juggle everything. They're trying to please everyone. But the truth is, you can't build an empire with your schedule full of chaos. You need structure. You need clarity. You need to eliminate what doesn't move you forward, even if that means cutting people out, breaking routines, or stepping into solitude. The ones who win are the ones who understand that discipline with time is the foundation of control. They schedule their days down to the minute. They know exactly when they'll train, work, learn, and rest. There's no guesswork. There's no waking up hoping to feel productive. Productivity isn't a feeling, it's a habit. It's a decision you make long before the day begins. You set the tone before the sun rises. You wake up with a plan and you execute. You don't hit snooze. You don't negotiate with weakness. You don't leave your results to chance. You run your time like a general runs a war, strategic, ruthless, efficient. That's how you dominate. When you become disciplined with time, everything else falls into place. You start to see patterns. You gain control over your energy, your mind, your finances. You stop living in reaction mode and start playing offense. You begin to live deliberately, not accidentally. That's how momentum is built, through structure and intentional action. And while others waste months, even years, chasing illusions and living in loops, you start stacking wins. You start building a legacy brick by brick, hour by hour, because your time is no longer up for negotiation. You don't let people drain you. You don't let situations steal your focus. You use every day as a weapon. You turn time into leverage. And you leave everyone who's still wasting time wondering how you pulled it off. Most people spend their lives surrounded by noise. Mental noise, social noise, digital noise. It's chaos disguised as connection. They're always on their phones, always involved in drama, always talking but never building. This is why they never grow. Silence is a weapon. It's a discipline. When you shut your mouth and stop broadcasting your every move, you begin to take back your power. Because the truth is, the more you talk, the more you leak energy. You reveal your intentions, your insecurities, your plans. And when people know your next step, they either try to block it or copy it. The ones at the top move in silence. They execute, they disappear. They let their results do the talking. You don't hear about their grind, you see the consequences of it. That's power. Going silent is not about weakness. It's about strategic withdrawal. When you pull back from distractions and people who add no value, your focus sharpens. You begin to see clearly. You hear your own thoughts. You recalibrate. Most people are afraid of silence because it forces them to confront their own failures. That's why they constantly seek validation, attention, or noise. But real ones embrace the silence because they know it's in those moments where growth happens. It's in the quiet where you plan, reflect, and evolve. You train, you study, you prepare. And while the world is too busy watching and talking, you're out there building in the shadows. The world doesn't reward noise, it rewards results. Everyone talks, everyone posts, everyone acts like they're doing something. But the loudest people are usually the most insecure. They compensate for lack of action with words. You don't need to announce what you're building, just build it. You don't need to explain your grind, just show them when it's done. That's the real move. Work so hard in silence that your transformation becomes undeniable. You show up one day and you're unrecognizable. Better body, better mindset, bigger bank account. And when people ask where you've been, you smile because they were too busy watching each other while you were watching yourself. Being silent isn't just about avoiding people. It's about rejecting distraction. You don't owe anyone your presence. You don't owe constant replies. You don't need to validate your choices to anyone. You're not here to please the masses. You're here to build a life that commands respect. That takes tunnel vision. That takes turning your phone off. That takes missing out on parties, ignoring trends, and focusing entirely on becoming a weapon, because that's what the grind demands. It demands obsession. And obsession doesn't live in noise. It lives in isolation. Silence creates pressure. And pressure creates diamonds. And when nobody sees your process, you're forced to trust yourself. You don't get applause, you don't get likes, you don't get handshakes. You get sweat, you get silence, you get discipline. But those are the ingredients that forge greatness. And when you finally surface richer, stronger, unbreakable, they'll wonder how you did it. They'll talk, they'll guess, but they'll never really know because you never gave them access. That's ghost mode. That's the secret. That's how you escape the noise, level up in peace, and return a completely different beast. You didn't need to broadcast it. You didn't need applause. You needed silence. You needed war with yourself. And you won. The world's loud, distracted, and drowning in talkers, but talk doesn't build empires, silence does. When you go ghost, you strip away everything fake, everything that wastes your time, everything that slows you down. You isolate to elevate. You train when others sleep, you work when others post, you grind when others party. And while they're too busy watching each other, you're building a version of yourself they'll never be able to reach. You don't owe the world an explanation, you owe yourself results. So disappear, get dangerous in silence, and come back so powerful that they don't recognize you. That's how high-value men move. That's how legacies are built. Ghost mode isn't hiding, it's evolving.